Hello, Kindred Spirits, and welcome back to my spiritual oasis. Here, weary souls come to find inner wisdom and peace. I'm doing an elemental reading for the month, so the next 30 days from whenever you find this video. These are meant to be timeless messages, and we are focusing on elemental energy, elemental messages for you. So we will be receiving messages from all of the elemental signs: fire, earth, air, and water. And then we will be looking at some combinations of elemental energy. For example, we'll be looking at earth and water for a divine feminine message. We will be looking at fire and air for a divine masculine message. We will be looking at fire and water for a love, as in a universal term for love, all its ways, shapes, forms, and fashions. We'll be looking at fire and earth for career, business, things of that nature. And we will be looking at air and water from the perspective of like discernment and how to cultivate discernment. So lots of messages. There'll be links in the description to all of these different areas of the reading, so you can skip around if there's something in particular that you're interested in, or if you just want to listen to a message for your primary or dominant energy in your birth chart. However you want to work it, do that. There'll also definitely be a holistic message to looking at all of the energies, all of the elemental energies that will be working in the month ahead for you. So with that introduction, and before we get into the readings, I do want to invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel if we're not already connected here on YouTube. Please do click like and drop a comment down below if something does resonate with you during this reading. What else do I want to say? If you're interested in your own personal reading, any type of reading, I do all types of readings. You can connect with me on Etsy. All available readings will be posted there on Etsy. I also curate other content on my Etsy shop, so check it out if you are feeling so moved to do that. There's a link in the description below. And Etsy is the only place where I offer readings. So, all right. I think that's the intro. So let's get right into the readings here. So we're going to start with our fire energy. So fire energy for the next month. And fire covers drive. It covers your passion. It covers what you're willing to fight for, what you're willing to put energy into, what you're passionate about, what excites you. This is, sun energy, Mars energy, Jupiter energy. So very robust, intense, divine masculine, outwardly expressive energy. So let's take a look here. All right, so fire energy, we have the abysmal. So this is a very watery card. So it just feels like, you might be feeling lower energy this month. You might, not be feeling like you have very much vigor and excitement around whatever you're doing, even if it is something that you feel like is in alignment with your path and your purpose. Maybe feeling a little insecure this month about what you're going after, maybe questioning what you should be doing with your life, or questioning whether you're on the right track. Could be feeling overwhelmed this month when it comes to your passions. And this card is also about facing fears and courage as well. So this just tells me that as far as your passions and your drive, you're really being it's almost like tested. It's like you're being tested whether or not you are sure about where you're going and what you're doing and what you're putting your energy into. And for some of us, it's like, everything has its mountains and its valleys, its peaks and its valleys. But, we always come back to the things that we love and we enjoy and that energize us, even if those things can be exhausting sometimes and trying sometimes. So some of us will just, keep on the path, and others of us, I feel like this is a time where we're kind of testing out desires and testing out passions and determining which ones are here to stay and which ones maybe need to retire, so that we can focus more energy on other areas of our life. So fire energy is going to be going through it a little bit this month. A little out of its elements, being asked to slow down, being asked to be cautious and aware and mindful, and even tapping into your emotional and spiritual intelligence more so, and your emotional and spiritual courage as you navigate this energy for fire signs. So it's fire signs, but also fire endeavors too. We all have a mixture of all of the elements in us. Some elements obviously are more dominant than others, depending on your birth charts, and also like the time in your life too. Sometimes time and events in your life activate different elemental energy in order to navigate through whatever it is. So just being mindful that for the next month or so, Spirit is really asking you to kind of take an inventory of the things that you are putting your energy into, and determine whether or not these things are really in alignment with what you're after and what you want to see. Some of us, sometimes we engage in something for so long, and we take something on for so long that we never stop and pause to be like, is this really, really what I want to do? And sometimes the answer to that is yes, this is truly what I want to do. Maybe I'm not doing it in the way that I want to, so then it's, going to encourage some sort of change. And sometimes we're like, you know what? I'm just kind of been doing this because it's been on my plate, and I never took it off my plate, and I'm ready now to take it off my plate. It's time. So some testing of items for you, fire energy, this month. So let's move on to Earth. Abundance. All right, Earth is sitting pretty this month. From a place of abundance. This is very earthy. This feels very Venus, very Taurus energy, very Libra energy. I know Libra is an air sign, but Libra is ruled by the planet Venus. Venus is the sign of earthly pleasures and delights and abundance. And so, yeah, Earth is going to be feeling comfortable here, feeling pleased, happy. Abundance can cover so many different things, but it's really about having more than enough. It could be talking about fertility for some of you. So if you've been interested in growing your family, then from this earthen energy, from this earthen perspective, there is an opportunity for that. Reaping the rewards, reaping your hard work and your labor. And it's like things that you've been working on coming to fruit for you in a worldly, tangible sort of way. So those affirmations that you've been speaking, those classes that you've been taking, the efforts and work that you've been putting in at your job, or whatever that looks like for you. If you've been working out and eating well, then you're going to be reaping the benefits of those efforts. So yeah, Earth is in a happy place. for this month in a place of abundance and a place of more than enough, in a place of plenty. So there is also an additional message here for Earth. And, you know, when we are in a place of abundance, when we are in a place of plenty, overflowing, there's an encouragement to do a couple of things. The first thing is to save for a rainy day. Put some resources away for when you are in another phase, of your journey. And then the second thing is generosity. So being generous when you have more than enough, being generous to those who are in another place in their journey, and sharing and being open and giving, because that really is just going to attract more of that. And it's just this cycle of give and take, and it creates a really beautiful synergy. And then another thing I wanted to note here was, I said this felt very Venus energy, and it does. And I also wanted to note that this could manifest in grace, inner riches as well, not necessarily just monetary, but it is going to be in a way tangible, in the fact that it's going to manifest out into the world. It's going to be something that your senses can pick up on. So you're more gracious. You are, really good at developing really strong relationships. You are, looked to as a leader. That's more a soft ruler, if you will, more divine feminine rulership. But charm and charisma and grace and beauty in all of its ways, shapes, and forms. So those sorts of riches as well, not necessarily just money and, not necessarily just money and monetary compensation, if you will. So manifesting in many different ways, which I personally think is exciting. To me, it's the soft skills in life in general that feel very it feels irreplaceable. When you get to a point in your journey where you are just sure about who you are, and you have really strong solar plexus chakra energy, that self space is really strong, you're confident, you are assured, and from that comes, to me, the harvest of that work, of working on self and working on those self spaces, your self identity, your self worth, your self respect, yourself, insert item here. To me, what comes out of that is those inner riches, the charm and the charisma, and because you're just so comfortable yourself, you're not spending time and energy worrying about you, because you already know who you are and where you stand and where you're going. So therefore you can put that energy out into the world, and it often comes off gracious and just very, it makes you very attractive, I suppose. That's probably the best way to put it. Okay. So that is Earth. Earth is living its best life this month, feeling very confident and reaping the benefits and rewards of the hard work. So if you've not been putting in the work, it's never too late to put in the work, says Earth energy. Let's get it, okay? All right, let's take a look at air. Darkening of the light is air's energy. So air is a wee bit uncomfortable this month, because air is being asked to subdue. Air is being asked to look inward, and air is a divine masculine energy, outwardly expressive, robust, always moving, always going, always doing, very active. So air is uncomfortable, and air covers communication, both with ourselves and others. It covers our thought processes, messages, these areas of our life. And so yeah, it's almost in a way like you're being asked to focus more on your inner communication than your outward communication. How are you talking to yourself? How are you thinking about yourself and what you're capable of? Do you believe? What do you believe in? You know, it feels, yeah, very low key, cautious, moderation, consulting your inner world first, consulting your intuition, your spiritual understanding, your emotive understanding before making decisions. So I just feel like, especially if you're a more logical person, if you have really strong air signs, you're very logical, very mental, mind-oriented, cerebral individual, there's a message here that your mind alone, your logic alone is not going to be sufficient enough to be able to communicate and make moves in the way that you want them to. You're going to be, you would do yourself better if you were to tap into your other powers of decision making, like intuition, discernment, emotional energy. So that's air. And then we have water. Icy water. Okay. So water's at a standstill this month. To me, this, water covers our emotions, emotive energy. It covers spirituality, creativity. So you might be feeling, emotionally isolated this month is what this is saying. You might also be in a position or a place where things seem to be staggering or slowing down. You're feeling in opposition to your emotional support spaces. So friends and family, and even like yourself, you might be feeling a little disconnected emotionally to your journey and to the people around you in your community. This card does talk about alienation. So feeling isolated, feeling cut off. It's almost like it could be also preoccupation, because we do have the yin energy over the yang energy. So it feels like maybe yin energy, so divine masculine, outwardly expressive, fire air energy might be overpowering or subduing that yang energy. And I feel like that's why air kind of got a check on that this month. So yeah, emotionally we're uncomfortable here. We are uncomfortable. So a lot of the signs are actually really uncomfortable this month. And that's okay. Growth happens in spaces and places of discomfort, and being spiritually woke or aware or connected doesn't mean you're never, doesn't mean everything's always in harmony. I mean, that's what we're always trying to achieve. We're always going after harmony. And trying to achieve that balance and maintain that harmony, but it's just not always what the reality is. So I think these are some good lessons to lessons in balance. I feel like some things are out of balance, and that's why they're uncomfortable. So looking at the overall energy, I just want to point out, first of all, that with abundance present as an overall holistic message, that there is definitely light in all of this discomfort. There is growth. There's, you are manifesting the things, maybe not all, but some of the things that you've been after. And they are going to help to snowball you out of, the darkness or the places of discomfort. The divine masculine energy is being checked this month intensely. You're being asked to slow down here as far as like your outward energetic expressions, and taking into account of your passions, and caution and moderation, danger and insecurity, hazardous conditions. It just feels like divine masculine energy this month is being asked to temper, chill out a little bit, especially if you find yourself working a lot and just doing a lot of stuff, or you're just constantly busy, and your rest is not restful, and all of these different things, and the work and effort you're putting in is going to reap some rewards, but at the expense of like emotional isolation, feeling drained, feeling unfulfilled on an emotive level. And just that, I'm just feeling like the masculine energy is just overpowering that emotional energy, and it's causing some duress and distress overall. You're being asked to trust your intuition and emotional intelligence this month, as far as like making decisions and determining how to progress forward in different areas of your life. Overall, I'm seeing that gratitude keeps coming up, that being grateful for what you have. There's like one orb of light in all of this kind of darkness, uncertainty, and discomfort. And sometimes that happens when we don't acknowledge where we are. Maybe we're not exactly where we want to be, but we are, when we are grateful, when we show gratitude for where we are, what we have, what is abundant, because we might not have abundance in everything, in every part of our lives at the same time. Sometimes it comes in waves and in different sectors in our lives, especially if we've been really, really, really focused on one thing and maybe we're not balancing our energy out. Well, yeah, the abundance is going to show in those areas, and other areas are going to be depleted. So, I feel like there is a message here holistically to be grateful for where you have abundance and what is abundant, and finding joy and being at peace with those places and spaces that are doing well, and not dwelling on the areas that aren't great. Working on those areas, yes, but dwelling on them, stressing out about them, that's not helpful for you. So I feel like one of the holistic messages is to be grateful for the areas that are doing really well, and know that you can work on the other ones. That balance is something that we are trying to achieve. Most people are not balanced, and that is the ultimate life goal. We're always trying to work towards balance simply because we aren't balanced. That's why we're always working towards it. So don't feel bad. Don't beat yourself up for being out of balance. We shift the scales a little bit here and start focusing on some other areas. So now we're going to start pairing off energy. So let's look at career and business. So we're going to look at fire and earth energy for this section. And we've got, right now, it just feels like as far as business and career, even though you might be finding some success and seeing some success, it's almost like there's still this insecurity about it and nervousness, especially if you're in the earlier part of your success. And I feel like there's just a message around it's okay to celebrate milestones. It's not saying that you're giving up or it's not saying that it's over. It's just simply saying, hey, my business, this is an example, my business has for the last 6 months actually been in the black for the first time in a year since I started it, or whatever the situation is. Like, that's awesome. Let's celebrate that. Let's be happy about that. It's heading in the right direction. And I also feel like just cautiousness or just feeling like you can lose it all and just kind of anxiety and stress about success. Like you might have even found great success. Abundance suggests that great success is present. And maybe you're feeling insecure about that, or you could lose it all. You start feeling anxious and you start feeling nervous. So you are being asked here to process through those emotions, which again, it's not fire's strong suit, working with emotions. So, but do work through that emotional energy so that you and face the fears. What's the true root of the fear? If your business is doing well and there is nothing to suggest otherwise, why are you anxious or afraid? Or career. It doesn't have to be a career. Maybe you're doing well. Maybe you just got a promotion or something. What are you truly afraid of, and what's the root of that fear? For some people, it's their childhood, right? Maybe they witnessed their parents going through multiple jobs or dead-end jobs, or whatever the case may be. Things were just tough financially and there just wasn't stability. There's all different potential roots. So dig into that, figure out what you're afraid of and face that fear. So that's what we have for career and business. If you're feeling insecure, insecure, especially if you're finding abundance or reaping harvest of the work and effort that you've put in, dig down into those dark emotions and face those fears. And it's going to take courage, of course, to do that. But you can do it. You have it. You have that power. All right, let's look at discernment. That's air and water energy. So what is discernment? I always like to explain this just so you know where I'm coming from. Discernment is the ability to determine the intent of energy before it enters your space. It's a screen in many ways. And it's a combination of logic and reason and intellect and things that you've picked up along the way it's a cerebral pursuit. It's also intuition and emotional intelligence. So it's a combination of mental, spiritual, and emotional intelligence working together in order to determine the intent of energy. And so elementally, in order to cultivate that spirit of discernment, you're being asked to maintain a low profile, to look inward first. So depending more on your spiritual and emotional intelligence, less on your cerebral mental intelligence. Not saying we're ignoring it. We're just looking inward first. We're going there first in order to navigate through difficult situations. So, stand still. The emotional space right now is feeling really insecure, super insecure. So you might be thinking, well, if emotional space is feeling insecure, why would I depend more on it? Well, it's feeling insecure because you're not depending on it. It's feeling insecure. It's feeling isolated, mistrusting. Mistrust comes from unknown. Like you don't know what someone's up to. You don't know what their intentions are. But discernment allows you to know that. It's insight. And in order to get that insight, you have to trust inside. You have to trust yourself inside first in order to have access to that information. So you're really being asked to dig deep, meditate, do some prayers, using crystal energy if you need to, whatever you need to do in order to cultivate more trust with yourself and your ability to make judgment calls. So this could have stemmed from, getting down again to the root of it. Why? Why don't you trust yourself? What's going on? And some of that might have to be maybe you made a bad decision. Maybe you picked a wrong partner, or, you picked a toxic friend or whatever. And so you're feeling like you're not capable of making the decision. Well, part of discernment and exercising that muscle of discernment is making mistakes and learning from them. That's part of that mental space where you make a decision. Maybe it's not the best decision. You learn from that decision and you make a better decision next time. But you have to give yourself the next time. You have to give yourself an opportunity to have another chance. So that's what you're being asked to do as far as cultivating discernment for yourself this month. Okay. And then divine masculine energy. So we're going to look at fire and air. Like I mentioned in the holistic message, fire and air energy, the outwardly expressive divine masculine energy, is being asked this month to chill. There's a lot of insecurity, uncertainty, unpredictability, some fears bubbling up to the surface. And so you're being asked to just chill out a little bit, subdue that energy, the hanged man energy. It's just suspension. We're not completely abandoning ship here. We're just suspending that energy, and we're looking inward here, and we're facing our fears, and we're tapping into our courage in order to get down to the root of this insecurity and why we're not trusting in ourselves. What happened? Okay, let's pick that apart and figure out if that triggered any other hidden shadowy energy. So maybe doing some shadow work in this space in order to assuage the divine masculine energies so that next month they can get out there and do their thing. So we're just taking a moment, we're just pausing a little bit and, resting. I think it's really amazing that in tarot, in the suit of swords, which is connected to air energy, there's that Four of Swords. That's about the rest. And, divine masculine energy doesn't really like to rest, but it's not sustainable energy. Divine masculine energy is not sustainable. You have to recharge it. It needs to be fueled. It needs fuel, constant feeding in order to keep it going. So, rest energetically, rest is what is the fuel for life. So taking some rest, taking some time to just chill out a little bit, let the fight and the drive and all of this outward stuff, let it rest for a little while. Take a break, take a moment. And taking a break doesn't mean you're just sitting there doing nothing. It means that you're taking that time to do some inner exploration. The work and effort you're still doing, it's just happening on an internal level. All right, now let's take a look at our divine feminine energy. So, to me, divine feminine energy, it's out of balance, honestly. On one side, specifically the earthen side, the tangible world side of things, the place of earthly manifestations is doing amazing. And then on the complete flip opposite side, 180, emotionally, spiritually, creatively, doing terrible. So it's like this very extreme, out of balance sort of energy in the divine feminine space. And what I see here is, like I mentioned in the career message, it's okay to enjoy where you're successful. You should. You should enjoy that success. But I also feel like that abundance can be shared with the water energy. That, divine feminine energy is good at sharing. It's good at collaborations. But sharing the confidence, from success, and sharing that place and space of gratitude, and seeing the fruits of your labor. I feel like there can be a reciprocal sort of energy where the abundant space is being generous and giving to the space that's insecure and feeling disconnected. It just feels like a really huge imbalance in the divine feminine world. And I just feel like you're being called to even that out a little bit and spend less time on your worldly endeavors and spend more time on your emotional, emotive energy, and just trying to get things back to a place of harmony here. All right. Did I miss some combinations? So fire and water. So let's take a look at love. Love is in a challenging place this month, isn't it? Abysmal and standstill. It's hard to love when you are feeling disconnected and when you are afraid to go out there, and there's just a lot of inner turmoil, unsettledness in an emotional space, and it's really difficult to love in that position. You're feeling cold, you're icy, you are distant, you are staying away from people, and you're not engaging in things you enjoy doing. You're too busy preoccupied with low vibrational energies like fear. So the love front is challenged this month. And I feel like more so because you're being asked to look inside. You're being asked to look inward. You're being asked to work on your self-image and identity and worth, and get in alignment with your path and your purpose. And it might take some courage to dig into those shadowy or rooted things. So shadow work, root work, doing, opening up your heart chakra and strengthening your powers of discernment so that you can trust yourself again and you can get back into an emotionally abundant position. So love, romance, friendship, familial love in all of its forms is challenged this month due to these very difficult positions emotionally that you're being asked to work through. And if we were to look at air and fire, air and earth, air and earth, like communication, I would say, as far as like manifestation. So air is the link between spirit and earth. So your mind space, what you're thinking, how you're thinking, and what you're thinking about, and how that's manifesting in the earthly plane. That's kind of what this combination is like. I don't have a really smooth term for it yet. Maybe I'll come up with it. But maybe we can just say the link to spirit, or the link to manifestation. So these energies, I feel like with abundance present, that your space and place of manifestation is really strong, which to me says that what you've been asking for, which it would seem that you've been asking for, earthly abundance and success, which is totally fine. You're reaping that. You're receiving that. But I am feeling from a communication standpoint that your mental, your communicative space needs to rest. Needs a moment of rest. It needs a low profile. And I feel like maybe you're even at the end of not the end, but you're like at a point of pause even. Like you've hit that abundance. You've hit that tier of security and prosperity, and you're at this point you're kind of at a pausing moment, and that air energy needs to recharge. And there's again, Four of Swords, like that rest sort of message that's showing up here for me. And you're being asked to as far as from a mental space, like be recharge and rest. And but I feel like whatever you've been asking for, whatever you've been communicating with spirit heard it, and you're reaping the rewards of that. So that's really positive and strong, and I think that's great. So those are the messages that the elemental energies had to share with you for the month. Definitely some work to do, where we're a bit out of balance this month, but it's okay. We can get back into balance. We can get back to a space of harmony, and that is kind of what we're working towards for this month on an elemental level. So I am planning to do a elemental reading where we dive deeper into each of the elements. We look at all of the astrological signs as well. So be looking for that this month. We can get a little bit more detailed into you specifically. So based off of your astrological sign, or based off of whatever house astrologically you're focusing on for this month. So we'll be doing that soon. Look for that video. Thank you so much, beautiful soul, for spending spiritual space with me, time, and your energy. If something resonated throughout this message, please do drop a comment. Let me know what did. Click like and subscribe if we're not already connected here. And if you're interested in your own personal reading, connect with me on Etsy, link in the description below. Thanks again for your time, and I'll see you in an upcoming video. Bye.